So I'm a big fan of card battling anime, right? And I never got to watch Cardfight Vanguard. So I decided to remedy that. I got on a subreddit and I was like, hey guys, you like Cardfight Vanguard? What is the best place for me to jump in at as a newbie? And for some reason, they told me Cardfight Vanguard Overdress. They told me it was a more mature take, a better storyline, something good for the newbies. Y'all pranked me hard, man, because this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it. Where do I even begin? The first thing that I do want to bring up is the freaking pacing. The pacing of this show is trash. Complete and utter garbage. The first few episodes are just getting to know your main character, right? And our main character, we get to learn on our first episode. The first thing our main character does on the first episode is cross-dress. And then he walks around town and lets people assume that he is a girl. This is a card battling anime, by the way. He lets them assume he is a girl. And then, oh no, surprise, it's a dude, and now they're friends, and he watches a Cardfight Vanguard fight. I don't know what they're actually called. You know why? Because the show doesn't actually describe it. Again, I am a newcomer. This is just a review on the first season, by the way. I am a newcomer. There's a card fight going on, right? Two guys, they're up there at the table, they start laying down cards. Nobody ever says, this is how you play the game to this guy. He just watches it happens and understands, and yeah, I don't, because they don't explain anything. Yu-Gi-Oh! Does. I don't know if the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Does, I haven't watched that in a while, but Yu-Gi-Oh! GX does, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds does, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal does, and it doesn't have to do it like face value. It doesn't have to completely explain everything like Zexal does back and forth. It doesn't have to go that far, but it can at least have the character be like, you know what happens when I do this with this card, your card, that number right there does this amount of damage. Like, it can do that without it feeling like it's explaining it to me. You have a newbie on the show. The dude doesn't play Cardfight Vanguard, and yet you don't got a freaking duel where we learn how to do it? It makes the show fundamentally broken. But that's okay, right? Because even though it's called Card Fight, the card fighting is minimal. This is a slice of life drama. I don't know if it's supposed to be a comedy or not because I never really laughed. A lot of the hilarious moments are cringe. They're cringe. And that has a lot to do with the fact that the dialogue is very cliche. And I mean, if you can expect it, if you can even think of it, then you're probably gonna get it right. It is very cheesy. The characters spout off cringeworthy catchphrases and one-liners, and they fail to add any real depth or substance to anything. They just talk a lot, and there's a lot of those hilarious miscommunication things where a girl was like listening in, and these guys are talking, and it sounds like they're being sexual, which makes me think that it's not for kids, because kids wouldn't understand that, and if kids even question it, then that's kind of messed up, because it's not subtle at all. But the story isn't really mature either, like everybody claimed it was going to be. The maturity in this story doesn't exist, because everything feels disconnected and disjointed, and it's plagued by poor writing and plot holes and inconsistencies that undermine the credibility and the coherence of literally everything. It fails to live up to any potential that any people that they're like, oh, it's so great. Thanks for that. My expectations were all the way up here, and then the Dad Blame anime just shoved it straight down so far that I feel like I'm fighting hell with a squirt gun trying to get out. It doesn't explore any themes. It doesn't explore any messages. It leaves me with nothing to take away from the story. It feels shallow. It feels generic, like it's lacking all substance altogether. And the animation quality, maybe that'll make up for it, right? Maybe it will. Maybe it will. No, it won't. It is subpar, and the animation sequences, they're not very good either. At the end of the card fights, whenever they actually happen, and they only last like 2 turns because we always have to start in the middle of them or towards the end of them for some reason that makes absolutely no sense to me, and we skip around sometimes. If we do start at the beginning, oh, shoot the magic dragon, we just skip to the end. Why? God knows, I don't. I have no clue. That's why I don't know how to play the game. What was I talking about before I got off that? Shoot. Oh yeah, the animation. Man, this thing has broken my brain. The animation, The only good part that I can say is at the end of those battles, that's where I got caught off at. At the end of those battles, there is a animation where the two main monsters are fighting and the characters are like, "Oh, I'm coming at you. No, I can't lose my hopes and dreams." You know, that over-the-top anime stuff. I'm not even mocking that. Like, that is anime, bro. That's anime as anime can be anime. But those scenes are the only good part, but they last 3 seconds and they get progressively worse, I think. I'm just so disappointed because I wanted to like it. Even the soundtrack is forgettable. It fails to add any real emotion or impact to any of the scenes that it accompanies. It feels like an afterthought rather than any integral part of the anime. Like, when I want to hear music, I want to feel that emotional scene. I want it to amplify the scene that it's in. If we're having a cheerful scene where we're galloping around the freaking park like horses, then good gosh, put something in there that's upbeat, makes me feel like galloping too. But no, we don't. Nothing makes sense. It's about as bad as Future Diary. I watched the dub. I don't know if it's different in the sub. I never watched the sub, and I don't feel like rewatching Future Diary just to watch the sub. If I'm rewatching it, I'm rewatching the dub because that's what I grew up with. Again, this is a tangent because I'm just so tired of talking about this show because I'm tired of thinking about this show. But in Future Diary, whenever they're at the park. Wow, what a good example I made earlier. They're at the freaking park, and then there's freaking music accompanying it that makes it sound like this is the most cheerful, upbeat anime ever, even though they're in the middle of a game of death and it's so out of place. Take that scene and that out of placeness and just apply it to every aspect of this show because nothing feels coherent, nothing fits together well, and when you put the music over top of it, it's like a parody. Oh. The characters, maybe they're better. No, they're not. I'm not even gonna sit over here and try to convince you that some of them don't suck because they're all very, just take a guess. Cliche. They're tropey. They lack any real chemistry or meaningful interactions. It makes it difficult for me to care about them, their relationships, their conflicts, anything involving them. And whenever we do get good, genuine moments, the stupid, cringy dialogue ruins it. Towards the end of the season, things start to pick up, but then characters feel like they're getting flip-flopped around and how they're originally portrayed. Plot twists, they're not that way anymore, but there's no build-up, so it feels out of place. And then we do get some kind of interactions, and they're kind of getting a little better, but then something has to happen and just stonewall it and throw it off a balcony into lava. All I wanted to do was watch a card battling anime. Learn how to play the card game based on it, want to play the card game, buy the cards, love the anime, love the series, love the franchise, make a big video, and everybody could be happy, and here we are. I watched an anime that was recommended as one of the better ones. Really hope it was a prank and they weren't serious. The first few episodes were slow, didn't do anything for me. Again, the first episode centered around our main character cross-dressing and accidentally being confused as a woman. And it wasn't funny. I don't know if it was supposed to be funny. It honestly just made me kind of uncomfortable because he's letting all these dudes blush and be like, "Oh, pretty girl." And like, gross. It is so gross. It is, I don't know who this is for. I came in expecting that mature storyline, and I skipped over it earlier, but I'm not even kidding when I tell you that it's not here. It's not here. And at the end, whenever they start bringing up that somebody is doing bad things and ruining lives of carton fighters, most people would have already dropped off. Honestly, I would have recommended for you to already have dropped off, because at that point, you have just suffered through 8 episodes that feel like filler, that have a lot of slice of life stuff that doesn't even develop the characters into being somebody that we can care about. That has a lot of things happen that have nothing to do with the card game. The card game that's in the title, the card game that it's based on, the card game that is supposed to be integral to the lives of our characters. You know, the card game that would make that mature aspect that gets brought up at the end important. But since we don't spend much time actually getting involved in that card game, it's hard to care. Our main character is trash, filth, garbage. I don't know if he's supposed to be a self-insert character. Our supporting characters get it a little bit better, but whenever they try to develop some of them, it feels rushed, and since we don't actually know much about them before the show starts and there's no flashbacks to make me think, wow, this character doing this should be a surprise to me like everybody else, it's not one. Everything is an issue. I couldn't recommend this to anybody. I watched Sword Guy the animation. I'm going to talk about it actually. You know what, screw it. I'm going to make a review on Sword Guy the animation now. You write that down. And somehow I think it was better than this one, but I'm going to be pretty hard on it too. So if you've actually watched Cardfight Vanguard, any series, please give me one that'll actually be welcoming to newcomers. Give me a Cardfight Vanguard series that's actually going to welcome me with open arms. Explain to me what Cardfight is. Introduce me to the world as if it would if the internet didn't exist. I shouldn't be required to search up how to play Cardfight Vanguard when there's an actual show dedicated to it. Oh, was there anything good about Cardfight Vanguard Overdress? This may sound contradictory, but hold your horses, let me explain. The music is a good part of Cardfight Vanguard Overdress, but only outside of the context of the show. Like, if you listen to it, but not because you're watching the show and are being forced to listen to it, you might like it. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that on that. I'm not gonna explain that anymore. I'll end up second guessing myself. Another good thing I can say is the voice acting isn't too bad, honestly. Even the dub and the sub have decent voice acting, but they don't get much to work with. So again, I don't want to tear this thing apart. I already did. And now I feel kind of bad. The color and lighting is decent. They like focusing on vibrant and eye-catching visuals, and that's about all the animation has going for it too. Oh, I really hate that. I'm so sorry. I would love to be able to sit over here and say that everybody involved tried their best, but it just doesn't feel like it. It just feels like treaded ground. It feels like I'm drowning in the same water of trash anime that I've been in for years. It just feels like something else that you wouldn't really miss out on if you decided to skip. It's gonna get lost in obscurity because unless you're a die-hard fan, I honestly doubt you made it to season 2. The only reason I made it through season 1, I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know how to play the game. And daggone it, it didn't do it. It just didn't do it. I wanted to like it. I wanted to say that you guys did great. I wanted to be able to be respectful in a sense that I could congratulate you on your accomplishments when it comes to this show. But everybody involved, you let me down. Separate, things could have worked. But when it comes together, the eggs are spoiled in the cake. The frosting is outdated. The cake is dry. It's nasty. I'm lactose intolerant. It just doesn't work. And that is my review on the first season of Cardfight Vanguard Overdress. If it gets better, please be honest with me here, okay? Do not make me sit through hell again. If it gets better in season 2, let me know. I need to know. I want to know. I will cover season 2 if it does, but be honest with me. Please don't make me torture myself again. Oh, if you enjoyed this video, seriously though, if you listened to me this long, I really appreciate you. And if you want to hear more news, reviews, and whatever else we choose, stay tuned. I mean, subscribe. I'd love to have you, and I'd love to talk to you in the comments below if you have anything to say regarding Cardfight Vanguard, other card battling anime, or if you just want to tell me I'm wrong respectfully. I'm totally down to discuss my opinions, my thoughts, and my feelings with you. Above all else, though, thank you. Have a great day.